Hello everybody, this is Debbie from Teacher Success Coach. I hope that you guys are all well. Yesterday I was meant to come on. Oh my goodness, I came back from work and I was exhausted because marking's all finished. Stay up all night, do marking, etc. And I was just zoom out. When I came home yesterday from work, I couldn't wait to get into my bed. So I was so tired. So marking all done and I'm feeling free, I'm feeling light, I'm feeling happy. So what I'm doing right now is doing the revision with my students. Anyway, guys, that's me and marking, etc. What are you guys grateful for today? As I say, every day there's so many things to be grateful for. One of the biggest things to be grateful for, you're alive and you are here to tell the tale. A lot of people haven't made it. Something that you're going to looking at is thumbs up. Use the opportunity. It doesn't matter how there's sometimes you feel negative. It doesn't matter how negative you feel. You just have to remember that you are alive and a lot of people haven't made it. So this time would pass, right? And with the opportunity, you are here. You could do things you didn't do yesterday. You could have new opportunity, new experience, etc. Yes, I'm grateful for my students. I'm grateful for my colleagues. I'm grateful for you for actually tuning into me. Also grateful for my family. And I'm grateful for life because there's so many things I'm doing every day. As much as the marking was challenging, etc., I did enjoy it because I've actually was able to identify some of the areas my students need developing. And today I had a brief discussion with them in terms of the areas we need to work on by tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to start doing revision with them so we could actually work on various topics, just to get them going, etc. So in terms of gratitude, those are the things I'm grateful for. The opportunity, the experiences, and those are wonderful. Yes, my bed as usual has been fantastic. Give me a lovely night's sleep. Oh my goodness, I slept as a baby last night. So, that's some of the things I'm grateful for. What's my win for today? Wow, one of my sociology groups, they were on point. Slightly noisy, but they were on point. There actually was really interactive. Some of the students who haven't been coming to my lesson for the last 2 weeks, they came onto the lesson. We had a fantastic lesson. So for me, that's one of my wins. The win is the fact that they came to the lesson. That's a win. The second win is they were very interactive. That's another win. Yes, at one point I have to talk a lot because, as I keep saying, I do not believe in the detention. I talk. Just remind them, stop talking. There's no point in detention because you put their names up, you give them detention. Next day, it's the same thing. So in terms of detention, we as educators and educational institutions need to find an alternative to this detention because the students become immune to the detention because it doesn't do anything, right? So that's one of the things that I'm hoping to speak to the school about, to use alternative like mindfulness, use alternative like meditation, like what is that? Classical music to them to enable them to start taking responsibility for their action. Find alternative. Just slinging them on detention doesn't work because, as I said, they become so immune to this detention that it doesn't matter to them anymore. It's like, okay, then you put me on detention. Yeah, I'll just do the detention. I'm done. That's no good. The detention need to have an impact. And if it's a situation where all they're saying, oh, well, ex-teacher put me on detention already anyway, it's not a big deal. Yes, I'm doing an hour. I'll just sit and do an hour. I've got work to do, so I'll just sit and do the homework in an hour. So it doesn't have an impact on students. We need to find things that would actually have an impact on them because this detention is a waste of time. Right. So that's one of the things in terms of it doesn't work. There are times we need to meet our students where they are. And right now, where they are is the anxiety. And in terms of they've got exam coming up. So therefore, that's something they're focusing on. So at times, instead of we actually putting extra pressure on the students, we need to meet them where they are and support them where they are. So these are some of the things we need to look at. One of my it's interesting. It's just, as much as I like that school, there's things that are happening is making me start to be very, being very mindful, and two, being very, very aware of some of the things that is happening in there. One of the things this school is pushing is the courts outside of the school. They're not supposed to wear coats inside the building, and they need to make sure they have the lanyard on at all times. Yes, I agree with that. But personally, I think one of the things that should be tackling first is the behavior issue, instead of looking at, oh, have a push for no coats in the building and lanyard on. I personally feel it should be going the other way around. Let's try to sort out the behavior and contact, because one of the things the students do quite a lot is contact each other. So I do feel that's something that should have been looked at, addressed first of all, and then things like the coats and the lanyard after, because from them actually making constant contact with each other, that leads to fights and aggression and all this issue. So that's one of the first things should have been tackled. Address the fact that they're constantly having contact with each other, or they're constantly so-called play fighting, which then end up in a fight. So those are the things that need to be addressed, and also the behavior issue that need to be addressed before we're looking at, oh, no coats inside, oh, make sure you put your lanyard on. Yes, those two are very important points, but the most important point is the behavior issue. And that's what I feel that a lot of schools get all wrong, because that's something they need to start addressing as a major issue. Someone have told me there is a school in London where they don't wear uniform. And even though they don't wear uniform, the students are they're very mature in the sense that they also take responsibility for their own learning. So that's quite an interesting thing, because the school I'm in right now, I personally do not feel that the students are taking the responsibility for their learning, because we have one of my colleagues saying to me that I need to make sure that they make notes. Really? And they should have more notes in the book. Really? My argument is, a student, I'm talking from personal experience. I remember when I was at school, I used to have lots of pretty notes. But ask me what's in my head, there was zero. I was concentrating on making the notes beautiful. And I see that. I've been teaching now for way over 20 years. And this is something students concentrate on making the notes pretty. Well, when you ask them, what have you got in your head? They don't. Or another thing is, tend to make them start learning in rote learning fashion. That's rubbish. Students need to understand what they've been taught so that they could summarize it in their own words, and they're coming from a place of understanding. So I say to my colleagues, there is no way I'll be checking up on students the amount of writing they've done. I say, because when I discuss it with them, I say, make sure you guys take notes, and you take notes of your summary of understanding. My colleague said to me, she looked at one of the students' book that I'm teaching, and the student only have a few lines of notes. She didn't have a lot of notes. Really? What has a lot of notes have to do with level of learning? I then said to my colleague, I said, you know what? I'm one of these people, I just take in keywords. And from the keywords, it's triggered. And I said to her, you need to look at, the students are not taking a lot of notes because they don't find it's necessary to take a lot of notes. They've learned it, they've understood it, and what notes they've got is the key factor. That's something as educators we need to be very mindful of, getting students to have pile and pile of notes, because which means that they're not coming from a place of understanding, they're coming from a place of rote learning, which means they're learning it in a rote fashion. The question is how much of those information they've understood. And my argument is, students need to understand the information and summarize it in their own words before we actually say they need to have a lot of notes. No. My first thing is understanding. I then said to my colleague, she then asked me what I wanted the student to learn. I said to her, one of my major things in terms of student learning is, my role as an educator It might be wrong, but that's not my business. My business is, as an educator, my role is to make sure I empower the students, I give them, encourage them in terms of confidence, and make them independent learners. And then the contents come after. Content is after. First thing is empowerment, increase their confidence, enable them to be independent learners, and then the contents. That's how I see my role as an educator, because one of the first things I feel I need to do is ensure that I empower my students. There's no point in them learning the contents of what I'm teaching them, but they're not empowered to actually discuss it or actually to even engage in it. That's no good. Or I teach them the contents and they do not even have confidence to discuss it in the class. That's no good. Thirdly, giving them the contents and they're not even an independent learner. They don't even know what they need to understand the topic. They don't even know okay, when I read it, I don't need to write everything word for word. I need to identify or select the most relevant points that will enable me to remember and use it as a key, right? So that's my role as an educator. And I think it is, as educators, it is wrong, that's my view here, that we should try to tell other educators how to teach. Like telling them how to teach from your perspective. That's your perspective. That's the reason why I have a program I call Uniquely You, because we are all unique individuals and we should be coming from a place of uniqueness. We should not be coming from a place of uniformity where everybody's saying is teaching in the same way. That doesn't lead to diversity, creativity, innovativeness. I think for me, those are very, very important tools. And I feel as an educator, that's my role, to empower students to gain those things. As I also say to my students, I'm not interested in you getting the contents right. I'm interested in you speaking up in my class. It doesn't matter if it's wrong, that's okay. Because my role is to empower you to speak, also to empower you to have the confidence. From the confidence, we can actually get the contents right. Once a student have confidence, it means that it is okay. So that's how I look at it, because it's to build on, to give them the confidence to speak. Because there's no point in a student having a whole load of knowledge and the student's not able to discuss it. There's no point in that. It makes no sense in my head, right? Anyway, have a fantastic evening. Take care, stay blessed. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, because I said my marking is done, and there's where I'm at. Right. So I will tell you guys tomorrow what's happening with my students, because I've given them some exam question to do. And I've said to them that I want them to start increasing their confidence, because my thing is to push them out there. Get out of your comfort zone, because that is very important. Because the next step from these students I'm dealing with is university. As from September, the majority of them going to university, and I keep on saying to them, the lecturers in university, they do not care. They come in, they take their notes out, and they just deliver, they close the book, and they go. I'm talking from experience as a person who's been in university and a lecturer who do university, right? It's like you go in, you just lecture, whether or not you use the your PowerPoint, whatever. When you finish, you close your book and you go. So I'm trying to prepare the students for independent learning, whereby they do independent work, they ask questions, and they actually get on with it. Because university is very much independence. In some schools, I've noticed they're trying to get the student to be very dependent on them, because probably educators feel that they need to fulfill a role, right? Because they feel that if the students are independent, they have no role to fulfill. And that's quite sad, because I'm beginning to notice that. My role is ensure that my students are able to fly the nest, empower them, and able to do it themselves, right? So that's one of the things I'm constantly trying to challenge, to enable students to be innovative, to be creative. But some educators don't seem to want to have that for the students. Anyway, guys, I said I was going all around, but something came up, so I came back into work. Anyway, take care, stay blessed, have a fantastic evening, morning, night where you are, and remember, you need to love yourself. Nobody else would love you as much as you love you. It starts with you. Remember that. Bye-bye.